So hello and welcome to this week's angling vlog. This week you join me back out on the banks of the River Ribble and we're in search of silvers on the whip. So a few weeks ago we did come on this venue and we got pestered by Mr. Pike. The good news is we've got a pike rod with us today. I also asked on that video if anyone would like me to come on here with my Preston whip and see what we could do. So today we're out with the whip, seeing if we can get those silvers close in. So you do join me about 2 hours into the session and we have had 1 or 2 fish on the bank like you can see on screen now. So the church behind me has been practicing with its bells all morning, so it's made vlogging pretty much impossible. I feel really good to have had 1 or 2 fish on the bank and hopefully there's plenty more bites to come in this vlog. Let's take a look at the setup, the swim and how we're going to approach it. So the swim that we're in today is featured on the channel a couple of times. You can see we're nice and comfy today. It is in the Christmas period still. We were on the banks of the river yesterday doing that long walk, so we've had a nice relaxing fish today. My uncle downstream getting bites as well. So you can see here on the swim we've got a tree upstream. There is a bit of pace in the river like last time we were on, and what it's creating is a nice slack on this side but a nice pace on the outside of it. So you can see there how them bubbles aren't moving and they're just pushing through. I'm going along that slack there, so I've been putting my ground bait in about here, feeding maggots up here so they're going through, and some hemp here as well. We've been getting bites along this line here. Setup wise today you can see I've got 2 rods set up. I've got my 17-foot rod and on there I've got a 4-gram bollo from yesterday, and we've got my whip as well, but we'll take a closer look at them in a minute. But they're the 2 setups that we've got with us today. Conditions wise you can see the river is carrying a tinge of colour and about maybe half a foot of water. We've sat down there in the past on the box, so there's definitely a bit of water in. Grey overcast skies. It's a beautiful morning to be on the bank. So looking at the side tray, we've got plenty of maggot with us today. We've got some over the Christmas period and we must have maybe 4 pints left, so we can really attack it today. We've got plenty of that hinders hemp, and I was cooking that up again last night, which good to have the smell of hemp in the house. And to the guys that put me the tip about the flask, really good tip, but for me I love the smell of hemp the night before the session. To me is the excitement of fishing the next day. I just don't do it on Christmas when the missus is going to kill me. We've got some corn, there's some quality fish about, and then we've got some of that hinders supercharged black, and I've put loads of hemp in that today. Just been mixing a ball like that and mixed it nice and tacky. You can see there I can squeeze it in one hand, gives me a nice solid ball, and we've just been feeding it into the swim there and running the waggler over the top. So a closer look at the whip. It is the Preston Innovations response system. It's an 8-metre whip and I've got it set at 7 metres today because we're going just down that inside line. 8 metres when I set up was just a bit too long. This whip gives me the ability to go down the swim. You can see there it goes quite far out and it's getting us to the place where I'd expect us to get a bite. The swim does shallow as it goes down, so yeah, I wouldn't want to go any further down the swim. So when I'm fishing the whip I do normally use a top and bottom whip float, so something a bit different today. Stephen Watley got in touch with the channel. His page on Facebook is 441 Floats, and I'll put a link in the description below. The float we've gone with today is the 3-gram whip waggler. You can see that it's got a nice solid body, and I can't wait to use some of these on the still waters or the weaver, you know, that moves a bit slower. And you can see there it's got a nice visible tip as well. Been getting plenty of bites on it this morning and I can't wait to show you on the channel. Been having great fun. So we're using a double maggot today. Been feeding the swim nice and positive just on that crease, so them maggots are going down. Feeding a nice positive ball of ground bait into the swim. So one of the worst things you can do in fishing is leave a swim once you're catching, so it might take a while for us to get them going again because I did stop fishing to do the intro on the blog. Might take us a while to get them going again. Feed a nice positive ball of ground bait into the swim. And there we go. That's where we've been getting the bites and putting together a nice net of fish really. It's a day, so we've had a few roach. And that little bit of a gap this morning's given me a bit of time to get used to it. Like I said on the intro, it is a different type of float than what I would normally use. Normally I'd use like a whip float, you know, top and bottom float. It does take some getting used to, but you see the floats going through beautifully there. It's on the edge of that slack going through them maggots. There we go. You can see there just how, you know, quick we can get these fish out. Hopefully it's going to stop Mr. Pike turning up. We have got the pike rod behind us if he does. And that is the beauty of whip fishing, just how quick you can get them dacing and get them in the net. If we keep on like that, we'll have a really nice net at the end, and you can see there, beautifully thin whip. We should really use it more on the channel. I don't know why I don't bring it every week, because it is a really good tool to have. So just casting the float right in front of me so it's got time to settle, then shots to take hold. Nice positive ball of that ground bait. You see there, all coming down that line. And the key with whip fishing is to keep them in the area you want them. You can't go too far downstream, so you've got to get your feed in right. That's why we're being really positive in this area and then running the floats over the top. So one thing the whip really does give you is speed, you know, how quick you can actually get the bites and get the fish in. You can put together a nice net of fish really quickly. You see there, that's not a small dace, that's a nice dace. You start getting them, we'll have a really nice net at the end. So like with all river fishing, the key is feed. You've got to give these fish a reason to want to be in the swim. So we're being nice and positive with the maggots, positive with that ground bait. The beauty of the whip is you can just put the bait right over the top of that ball. You see there, it's a lovely fish that. You can see there how it works. It's a perfect example. You know, feeding your bait, it's all going in a line, and it'll be a nice little test for the whip. There we go. And if that clip is saved on the GoPro, it was a perfect example of the whip. You know, feeding, being really positive. It just shows, you know, quality fish and how quick you can get them in. And that's what whip fishing is all about. We have got options today if they move out, but you've got to put the food in to keep them in your area, and you've got to feed it in a way that you can get down to the bait and get the bites. There we go. I knew as soon as that bait went into the slack it'd be a roach. There's a beautiful slack down the inside here. It's where these roach are just sat. So on a river, I always think you're getting it right if you can fool the roach. You're always, in my mind, are that little bit wiser, and if you're getting them, you've cracked it. So as you've seen there, I've been getting plenty of bites on that whip, and been great fun just putting it through the swim. Using the float for a while, obviously being a waggler, one thing you can't do is hold back. Obviously you've got to go through at the pace of the river, but on this inside line down here and into that slack, been getting plenty of bites. And there'll be a few of these in the final net. Lovely plump roach, and it's been a great day on the bank. Always with good company with my uncle. We had a good laugh today, especially when I was trying to vlog with the bells ringing. But yeah, great fun, good company. So it really has been a fun morning chasing these dace and roach on the whip and using the waggler, and thank you very much to the gentleman who sent it out. A beautiful piece of work. What we're going to do now is we'll get this dace back, and as you can see, conditions are always changing on the ribble, and I'm just going to use the rod for a little bit and edge a bait through. And there we go, first trot down. It's going slowly over the top of that ground bait. You just see that 4 gram bollo bouncing in the flow. Really am enjoying using that float, most definitely. It's a cold, misty, damp day on the bank. And I think that is Mr. Pike. So, yeah. I guess it just shows the benefit of the waggler, really. And the whip. That fish isn't in the water that long that the pike can get hold of it. And like I say, I never get too excited with the pike. They normally let go or bite it off. It's normally quite a prolonged battle. It does feel like a decent one. So unfortunately Mr. Pike did bite us off, but we're out for revenge. Put on a little roach and it didn't take too long for it to come back. This time we've got a trace on. And it is a rod like the whip that I should bring more often. But he's definitely putting up a good fight. I've been responsible today and brought quite a big landing net with me. This opportunistic cord and rod over the years has had a few fish. There's nothing more opportunistic than trying to catch Mr. Pike on the river. Let's see if we can get him in. We really should come up here and have a go for the pike. It's been great fun today on the whip. Let's try and get this angry river pike in. And look at that for the beautifully conditioned pike. Been feeding well. It's had probably plenty of fish off me over the last couple of weeks. And great to get a bit of revenge. And to you guys who keep telling me to bring a pike rod, this one's for you. A beautifully marked pike. What is it, probably 12, 14 pound? But either way, great to get a bit of revenge. Let's get this beautiful pike straight back. And no matter how much of a pain in the backside they are to your fishing, always give them the respect they deserve. A good rest in the margin. Back she goes. No, don't go that way. Go that way. Don't go back down there, please. So Mr. Pike returned safely. The next trot down. Just hold him back over that hemp and we'll get his head up nice and quick. And yeah, just shows that different presentation working. And I guess one thing this blog does show is what an amazing river the Ribble is. You know, that beautiful pike. There's plenty of blogs on the channel catching the silvers and you can attack them in multiple ways. You know, we're using a bolo today. You can use a stick float, a whip. There's loads of different methods you can do. It's great fun. And what a lovely way to end the video. I'll catch you all at the very end. I'm going to enjoy what's left of the session on the float. I'll see you all at the end. Right, so the session does come to an end there now. And as you can see on screen, we've had plenty of bites from them dace and the roach. So I really have enjoyed using that whip today and then whip floats. Thanks to Steve for sending them out. And please check out his page down below and showing some support. It really is appreciated and thank you very much. The colours on that pike definitely brightened up a dull day on the bank, but good company. As always, bankside with my Uncle Azza. We've had a great day's fishing. All that remains now is for me to wish you all tight lines in your own fishing, and we'll catch you all next week. Tight lines.